that will not even get you into court. Was it a hug, or was it painful, or was it so that you couldn't breathe because he pressed all his weight on you? Your memories, it will all be a mess. And then the policeman is sitting there and trying to get a report. Hi, I'm Emma, a medical doctor, a survivor of domestic violence and of narcissistic abuse. Today I want to talk about collecting the evidence of abuse and meeting a narcissist in a court setting. So, my experience of this is both personal. I left a 21-year-long abusive relationship with a man who probably have a narcissistic personality disorder about 16 months ago. And I also have some other experiences that I think really helps me to get another perspective on the situation. So I have two paternal uncles who are policemen. My father was also a policeman. So when I was a little girl, I sometimes got to ride in his police car. He and my mother later both went to law school, actually. So they became lawyers. Now, none of them are dealing with criminal law, but it gives me sort of a broader perspective on the issue. Many women feel bad when they even think about reporting a crime or reporting the abuse that has been going on in their relationship. They feel bad for the man. They pity him. They think that he is not really in control over his own actions, and therefore he can't be fully responsible. I was partly responsible. I sort of set him off, and I have a big heart. How about I just forgive him, and then I give him an opportunity to carry on with his own life, to create a future. I don't want to destroy that future for him. I don't want to destroy his reputation. I want to not destroy his ability to get another job. I don't want to send him to jail. That is all very admirable. You want to take the high road. But I want to suggest to you another way of looking at the situation. You have been used to putting his reality before your own. So when you try to get a proper view of the situation, the first thing you consider is the effects that your actions will have on him. That is part of the trauma bond, like the skewing of your reality that he has inflicted on you. And I also went through this phase, so I didn't report him until 6 months after the separation, and I never could have imagined that I had to do that. I didn't collect the evidences that I could have done. Like reporting him wasn't even an option. But eventually I had to, because he'd stalked me, threatened me, showed up several times outside of where we lived, threatened to take the kids abroad, and the messages, hundreds of messages and emails and calls to everyone that I knew. It started to become really scary. Like the content shifted from begging to threatening to blaming me for ruining his life. It was very unsettling, pointing to a person being very mentally unstable after the separation. He had been in control of me, and I think I was a big part in keeping his sanity, keeping his reality together, always being there to take the fallout from his actions. And when I wasn't, he started to direct all of his frustrations against me. So if the relationship felt dangerous before the situation, it went even more so after the separation. And this is consistent with the data. So the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship is the first year after you leave the relationship. And this is the period where most women get killed. And it doesn't even have to be that your relationship was physically violent when you were living together, but there are still instances where the man will become violent or even end your life after you have separated. Okay, so if you are in an abusive relationship now and you are starting to think about narcissism, you're starting to realize that what your experience is not normal, that it's not your fault, that you have been suffering in this relationship, that it's in actuality, it is your partner who has manipulated you and purposefully put you through years of suffering, of doubting yourself, of trying to win his love, and him putting you down. Because you're so used to living in this situation, it has become your norm. I would suggest to you that even though you don't think that you will report him, collect the evidence that you could use if you make another decision in the future. When you do get a bit of distance, when you get out, when you start to talk to others, you might have a change of heart. And even if you don't, his actions might force you to reach out in order to protect yourself and in order to protect your kids. I would also like you to look at the things from another point of view. He is the one who is destroying his life. He has a major problem if this is how he is interacting with his intimate partner, hurting her and putting her down, manipulating, dominating the whole home without any concern for how his kids will react to this and how they will grow up. He is the one who has the problem. If you don't report him, then he will not have to face that problem head on. So you might actually be doing him a favor by not continue to be lenient and by not enabling him to continue and just skimp along and shake it off and continue to think that you were wrong and I have not done anything. So his view of things needs to be challenged in order for him to perhaps get get some clarity into what he's doing and the possibility of, well, the little possibility that he might want to change. Even though he doesn't want to change, he might do so in order to avoid facing the consequences. Also, if you separate, he will try to find another partner and he will put her through what you went through. And probably he will just continue where he left things off with you. So if you have noticed during your relationship, it started out with like milder abuse. When he would get nasty, it would still not be as nasty as how he can get now. I think that this is part of the abusive cycle. So like the abuse is cycling through different periods. It's the nice periods, then it's the periods when he won't talk to you, when he is acting like he's showing you that he's not happy, he's angry, he's withdrawing, perhaps he's saying that I'm not sure if I want to be in this relationship, and then he will act out in an abusive way. And when he does that, he will cross over one more line, so he will leave a little more of his own conscience and morality in the process. Afterwards, you will be affected by it. You will be hurt, and you will be careful not to set him off in the future. And he will also be remorseful, like, oh, how could I do that? That wasn't me. And then he will try to act nice for a while. And then as time passes on, he will eventually cross over that line again quite easily. And then he will cross over another line. So when I try to explain this to my kids, I compare it to if you're like they ask me a lot about what has happened and how can someone do mean things to someone that they like, and I try to explain it to them in a way that they would understand. And then I tell them that, when you do something that is wrong, the first times you really feel that this is wrong. So, for example, if you were start to smoke cigarettes, many adults do that, and when you feel that smell, it smells really bad. So when adults start to smoke cigarettes, they feel that, oh, this is disgusting the first times. But then when they continue to do that, then they feel, well, it is sort of okay, and I do feel some good feelings when I do. But as time goes on and they continue to do this thing, then it actually becomes something that they like. And it can be the same thing when you are doing wrong things towards another person. In the beginning, you feel the effect, you feel that it was bad, but as you continue, it becomes normal for you to treat them that way, and eventually you may even grow to like it. So when your man gets into a relationship with another partner, he already has crossed a lot of those boundaries. And so after he has made her fall in love with him, when he do start to get nasty, it will become more nasty than it was with you. So he will continue this downward spiral. So if you don't care about yourself, if you feel that, well, getting an apology or getting revenge, it's not that important, I can be the bigger person. But how about the next woman? You have the opportunity to stop this person, or to at least give him something to think about when you get the courage to speak out and report him. So protecting yourself is not wrong. And if you do report him, it helps you to protect yourself. It is much higher value to have someone who has been sentenced for hurting you, or if you have tried to file for a restriction order, or restraining order, or if you have called the police, that holds much more weight if you would really get into danger. So they will respond quicker, and you might also get the ability to get resources from society, to get in contact with organizations that will help you if you do speak out and contact the authorities. Now, what kind of evidence does hold weight in a court of law? Well, you would think that if you just tell what you went through, then that would be enough, wouldn't it? Well, it's not. that is just word against word. You say that he did this and this, and he says that that's not true. It was her, she did that and that. So that will not even get you into court. Journals, I mean, it should be that if you have journaled, and I have journaled for years, I have like a whole stack of thousands of pages where I write about what is happening in our relationship. And I have given this to the police. Now you would think that, well, that at least I wrote it down, and that year it doesn't hold. It should it should hold weight, but it doesn't, at least not in my case. If you have told someone outside of the relationship, then how about if you, so a year ago when he did hurt you, you called your sister and told her, it doesn't hold much weight, especially if it's a relative. It could hold some weight if it is someone that is not related to you, but even then it is just word of mouth. Images, if he has hurt you. Video of him, if he is being abusive. Or sound recordings, that is good evidence. If you're able to collect that and just to save it for perhaps future use, that is good. Now, how do you do that in a good way? I mean, you have to think about it. There is like the MP3 recorders. You can do it on your phone, but don't. If you are with an abusive partner, don't save it on your phone. He probably goes in there to check. You can send the files to an email account that is secret. He can't get into it. But of course, there is the issue of like the memory. So if there is a video clip, then perhaps that won't work. Send it to someone trusted. You have to figure out a way to save it so that he can't access it, but that you could in the future if you choose to. Medical journals, like if you have been injured and you saw a doctor and that injury was recorded in the journal, that is good evidence. Also, if someone has seen him being abusive towards you, like if you have a witness who saw the incident, that is also good evidence. Now, this is frustrating, like when you feel that, well, won't the police just believe me? It's not that simple. The police is trying to do the best job that they can. There are many crimes going on. There are many people coming to the police and telling them about the crime. Even if they feel for you and they want to help you, they have to collect evidence that will hold in the court of law, and they have to present that evidence to a prosecutor. The prosecutor's job is to look through the case and what evidence that is connected to that case, and to make an assessment. Okay, so if the prosecutor chooses to go forth to the court with this, will the perpetrator be sentenced? So will we be able to prove his guilt without reasonable doubt? And there are many cases waiting. So there are many people who has been done wrong to. They're telling the police, and the police have to choose, like, okay, so which ones can we go forward with? Which ones can we help? And then they send it to the prosecutor, and like a certain percentage of that, the prosecutor will deem like this is very sad, but we are not able to get this person convicted. So it has nothing to do with them not believing in you. It has to do with the system, and it is a system that is, it's supposed to protect people from not being wrongly accused. It is of course also there to protect you, but in order for you to access that protection, you have to present something tangible, something that they can work with. Otherwise, it will just be like in the courtroom without any evidence, and then you can just throw the blame at each other, and it is a sad situation because all of us deserve to get that, get our right, or but it is not always possible. So if you have the opportunity to collect evidence, I strongly suggest that you do so. So when you talk to the police, here's another problem. Often the episodes that you are reporting are episodes that really traumatized you, especially if there is physical violence involved. And the issue with trauma is that the memories aren't stored in a normal way. So when you try to access it, it gets confusing. So when you sit there and you try to tell the police what happened, then you will feel that it's hard to express yourself. It is hard to make sense of what is inside your head and then to tell it in a clear way. It is not your fault. It is like how the brain stored the memories when you were in shock and when you were traumatized. After being in the abusive relationship, it is also so that your experience have been mixed up with all that he has implanted in your mind. So when you tell like, oh, he was like, this was horrible and he did that to me, but the next day he did that, and he's really not that bad because then he took the kids out, and like your feelings and your experience and your memories, it will all be a mess. And then the policeman is sitting there and trying to get a report. I would suggest to you that before you go there, like go through your memories, write a timeline for when everything happened. You can even bring that to the station. It will help, like if you are able to put a date or a time period, and then like if you go through what happened, like objectively. Your feelings and your experience is very valuable, especially the parts, if you say that it hurt me, it really hurt, it was very painful, I was very scared, I feared for my life, I thought that like this is it. Those feelings are very important because that shows to the police, it is part of the story that makes it believable, and that makes it and that shows that this is like significant event that deserves to be taken further on. So if someone just say that he grabs you, sorry, I can't be too graphic here on the movie, but say that he grabs you around the body, and like it can range from like someone grabbing you, like was it a hug, or was it painful, or was it so that you couldn't breathe because he pressed all his weight on you and you were feeling suffocated. You see that there is a difference there. So your experience is valuable, but then you also need to be able to tell what happened objectively. And the police will be interested in, like, did he use his right hand or his left hand? Where did he place his leg? Like, where were you? What kind of position were you in? Like, did you call for help? So all the objective facts will be important. And because of the trauma, that will be hard for you to bring out. So the book, The Body Keeps the Score, Basil van der Kolk, who is a trauma psychiatrist, he writes about this. And when patients who have experienced trauma want to tell their story, because there is so the memories are stored in such a manner that it is hard to access. They have to, eventually, it is impossible to explain to an outsider how it felt. It is impossible to fully explain how it felt. So you have to settle on a story that is a true story that you can tell. It will never cover the fullness of your experience, but it is something that you can use to explain to others. So that's really good to have thought about that before you tell the authorities. Yeah. So this channel, I'm talking about abuse, and I'm using the word narcissist. And I'm doing that because it is a term that I think is helpful. It is describing a certain way of behaving and interacting that many people are able to relate to. And it doesn't have to be that the person has a diagnosis of a personality disorder. It is just a shorthand for saying that this was a person who treated me with no empathy. He was really selfish, manipulative, refused to take responsibility. Don't use the terms narcissist when talking to the police or the authorities or the court. It will make you look like without credibility. It is not terms that are used by the police or by the authorities. So don't use the terminology that you learn from YouTube. Don't use narcissist, gaslighting, triangulation, and words like that. Instead, even though you have experienced all those things, and it is helpful when you're connecting to other survivors, so that if you use the word triangulation, everyone knows what you are talking about. When you're interacting with authorities, you should instead explain what happened. So you can say that my partner constantly compared me with other people, telling me how I wasn't good enough, telling me how he deserved better, or that and he was cheating on me, even though that none of those things are crimes. Like if you want to explain your relationship, talk about instead his behaviors. So instead of talking about gaslighting, you can say that he was very manipulative. He convinced me that his version of things were a correct one and that I was wrong. He made me doubt myself. So I think you see the point. Try to work through like the major issues in your relationship and a way to present it so that someone would understand, even though they are not tuning into all these narcissism YouTube channels. Yes. Sorry, there were so many points I had to write it down, so I'm checking the list. Protect yourself mentally during this process. When your partner finds out that you are separating and you have filed a police report against him, it is a chance that he will ramp up the abuse. He will see it as a threat. He will see it as him losing more control. And he might take desperate actions to try to get you alone with him, call you, message you, try to force you to retreat. It is good if you are able to diminish or go no contact. I will have to talk about that in another video. Protect your sanity. If there are people like on his team who are reaching out to you, you don't need to talk to them. You don't need to explain to everyone. You don't need everyone's approval. you need to protect yourself, and you have the right to do so. Don't buy him off. I hear from many women that they try to calm the situation down by not demanding their right, like not demanding their full part in the house, in the finances, and they think that this will appease him, like show him that you have a good heart and you don't want him to end up without anything. It will not help. He will see that as weakness. It will encourage him to be even harder against you. The same thing, like if you try to negotiate with him about things, he will see it as weakness. Try to decide on a path for you forward, and then don't sway from it. He will leave you alone sooner if he notices that what he does won't have an effect. Try to not communicate directly, but through a lawyer, if you can. And even though this is a very hard thing to go through, having to report and go to trial against a person that you loved and that you were close to and that you have tried for so many years to, you try to do what's best by him, try to improve his life, and now you have to change things around, and you feel like you are the bad guy in the life, like the story of his life. And this is a short period. It will pass. Even though it is hard and painful now, it will serve you in the future. It will keep you safe, and it is also a part of you healing and you regaining your strength to be able to talk about it, to be able to face him, something that is very scary, to face him in a position where you are claiming your right and claiming justice. It is scary. It is also healing. And this is a period that will make you a stronger woman, and you will be able to use this experience in the future. Like even if it doesn't have to, even if it's in another context. So I got an email yesterday from a woman who listened to my video, and she commented that I think it is great that you are able to talk for long periods without doing the or the middle sounds. And I reflected on that, and I realized that, yeah, that is actually one of my takeaways from this relationship. Because I felt so misunderstood and I wasn't able to communicate. I felt that I can't communicate what I'm thinking to this man. I can't make him see my way of things, and I desperately wanted to heal our connection and create a safe home for our kids. So I worked very hard on developing myself, and one of the things I worked on was being able to express myself clearly and just say what I meant, and then let it stew with him. Even though it didn't work with him, because I was working from a paradigm in which he was a good person who would eventually respond to me. It is something that is helping me in the future. It is something that he will never be able to take away. My ability to express my thoughts. So there are things that I'm grateful for coming out of this long relationship. One, of course, having my kids, that is one thing, but many other things in my personality that like flaws or things that I did wrong, or when I was selfish or manipulative. I have worked through a lot of that, and I'm very grateful for that. And part of my healing is also to, during this year, I will face my abuser in a trial. So I got served the papers. Well, it is I who initiated it, but you still get served the papers and the date of the trial. And I feel anxious that it is actually happening. But I also feel that it is part of me redeeming myself and becoming a stronger woman. And I think it will be the same thing for you eventually. You will look back on this period, this hard period that you are going through, and you will say that, you know what, I'm glad that I stood up for myself. And that was a good decision. It was good for me. It was good for the ones I love. And it was even good for this person who lived for so many years in a lie, to get him a chance to have a wake-up call. So don't be scared. Move forward and protect yourself, but also take the measures that you need to collect evidence, to tell about what you've been through, and to get your justice. Even though it will never be full justice, what he could pay you back is never what you gave to him. But in a way, like what you gave and the effort that you put in, it is something that remains with you. He wasn't able to benefit from it, but you will be able to benefit from it, and so will your kids. If you like this video, I will put my playlist at the end. This is Emma, holding up a light over the bridge. Remember, there is always a way out. There is always a way forward. Please be safe, take care, and have a great day.